I think people see a video game and then they just don't want to watch it, and they're like, they don't realize like what's the difference between this and like Joe Rogan or Howard Stern. We ran out of money and we couldn't pay the bills, and everyone died, and there was no way to recover. This one, even though everyone's dead, because we have money, we can sort of recover anyway, so it's not as big a deal. We're painting our city. We're making communism. We're making people move into LA. The US is not allowed to fail, right? They just print more money. But the Soviet bloc wasn't allowed to print more money. Like, who would have a snowplow in Louisiana? Like, how much work are you going to get? This is like in Bob Ross. Remember the joy painting when he would do like mountains and stuff? This is like the mountain here. We should call this Houston or something. We should put some Texas cities. I want to put Elon Musk's house out on the map at some point. If things go awry and we do run out of money, I always will have the option of demolishing other cities and hauling the rubble into Los Angeles to make gravel. We never want to run out of money. Money's the highest priority in the game. That's what this game teaches you, is that money's the most important priority. We had a gas station to blow up here too. I want to do all the house. Oh yes, we can blow this up now. Amazon's a horrible platform. I'm just going to say I was selling stuff on it. Do not recommend. If Bezos actually had anything to do with the planning of the way their help works, this guy should not be running the company. He should be nowhere near the company. And then you can get Soviet bloc residents, which are very expensive, which we might have to buy a few of. But these are just free. You just drag them out of a New York house and you're good to go. The socialists even, YouTubers were being brought to hidden houses and disposed of. And this was off the record of what would be reported in the statistics and in the news. So no one knew about it. Propaganda. Goebbels studied Bernays. Bernays has had a lot of influence in America too. You think about it though, this guy who influences the culture of America was living in Vienna with Hitler at the same time too. So they bought a bunch of Zyklon B, and that was one of the stopovers. The shower they stopped over for showers. That was called Auschwitz. The U.S. needs, every Western society needs UBI. Otherwise, you create fake jobs and fake economy. Oh my God. Like, the thing lasts like 1 year and it blows up. It's so ridiculous. A capitalist made this game, and they're like, we'll make it impossible just to prove capitalism is better. Dude, what if the bus is doing here? What are you doing? Oh, that's right. All go at the same time. Just go through each other. That made perfect sense. I wish I was better at this game, but I'm not. 84? Oh, 88. Whoa. Yeah, I planned that. I'm a pro at this game. Fail enough times, and then you repeat the same thing over again. Eventually you'll have success. 100%? How did it get to 100%? This was 88% when I parked it. Hey everyone, Brento here. Welcome to another episode of Dump City, the series where I have yet to pick my nose on camera. Right. Enough of that. So we're playing a game called Workers and Resources, Soviet Republic. It's basically a city builder game. I'm not an expert at this game. I'm sort of learning it as I go. But what it generally is it's like a virtual society. So what we're simulating here is a Soviet republic where you build communism, and you're supposed to survive somehow. but I haven't been doing too well. Think of this as like the joy of painting, and I'm Bob Ross, and I'm painting a city, and it takes a while to paint the city, and you might not know how to paint. I never knew how to paint, but I watched the show. I found it interesting to watch. So this is kind of motivated by that, where it's you're watching something get made, and maybe that's interesting. Maybe the jokes are interesting to you. Maybe the rants are interesting to you. We've set up some borders here. We've got Canada. We've got Mexico. We got lots of immigrants here that want to work in Soviet Los Angeles. We also have nearby San Francisco here. This isn't the exact map. You're probably looking at this, hey, wait a second, that's not, like, this isn't the right geography. Well, it's because it's a randomly generated map. Like, I can't afford to be buying these $10 actual maps. But I can name cities whatever I want. So we're kind of naming cities as we go. See this map? This is the world. This is Soviet America. And right here is kind of where we're at right now. As we expand further out, I'll start renaming some of the default cities that come on the map with American names. And actually, I thought what I'd do early on here is I noticed down here there's like a big city, really big city across the map here. And I thought at some point we have to have New York on this map. It makes sense, right? So we got to find, okay, so here's the default name. We're just going to rename this to New York. And it's part of this episode. It's part of the theme of the episode, which will be people management. I think it's been referred to in previous episodes that managing your people in a Soviet republic is very challenging. Quite often they die, but most often they just leave. I think it's because if you don't do it right, they're just unhappy. But for some reason, when you don't have socialism or anything at all, they're happier. I don't know why that is. Maybe it's because they don't have an overbearing government or something. I don't know. I don't know what the reason to that is. I think people see a video game and then they just don't want to watch it. And they don't realize, like, what's the difference between this and, like, Joe Rogan or Howard Stern, right? It's just talking. It's just someone yapping. If you've been following the series, we're cornering the market on background noise, right? At some point, just due to the duration of this, every one of these episodes becomes background noise, right? And that's what I want. View time is view time, right? If you click it and watch a long time, I'm doing my job, right? So background noise, that's the least I can do here. You notice too, I'm a little sideways in the camera here, and I was aware of that beforehand, but I'm gonna leave it this way because I want to see how this works. I'm always trying something different in every episode. So one thing that's a little different here is I'm not directly centered on the camera. I'm like a little off, right? See that? Normally I'm like here, right? I'm facing the same way, so I'm looking at the screen like you would be looking at, this is our Bob Ross, this is our painting. We're painting our city. We're making communism. We're making people move into LA. Yeah, so when I was offline, I played a little bit and I made a mistake. I couldn't really get workers to operate the coal heating plant here. And it's like well into January. See, everyone seems to be dead. So that was kind of a screw up. Look at this. Well, there's a few people left. So I'm like, what's the point at this point bothering with getting the coal plant working if there's no one in the houses, right? It's just a waste of money. It's a waste of time and a waste of coal. So I figured, you know what? We've gone this far into winter. Let's just let them, let's save some time and money, right? Let's just let them go through the winter. And then what I want to do is, as soon as they stop, whining about freezing to death, I want to transplant people from New York into Los Angeles, because that's what you can do in a Soviet republic. There's a lot of disadvantages in this game, but it does let you move people into the houses. So If you've been following the series, you know that the snow disappears on the February 22nd of every year. So if we let it just run a little bit in real time here, I'm going to try to run this episode quite a bit in real time. The last episode was action-packed. I know I did an intro, and then after that I just ran real time the whole time. I'm going to pause from time to time here. We're still so early on in the series here. We don't even have our industry base built up yet. That's another thing we've been working on, is getting these factories built, which produce construction materials, which will let us more cost-effectively build LA. As you know, or may not know, in the first world, I went over the fiscal cliff, just like, the US is today. But unlike the Soviet bloc of 1989, the US is not allowed to fail, right? They just print more money. But the Soviet bloc wasn't allowed to print more money. They just pulled the plug on that. And there are some suspicious things about real communism that make you wonder. I don't think it's ever really been tried. It's always been a bit of a scam. There's always some elite somewhere that are taking some money out of the system. It doesn't add up. We have our bank interest rates. Who gets the interest, right? If you're going to take out a loan, who are you borrowing the money from? Why do you owe them interest? Wouldn't a nationalized bank solve that? But for some reason, money is out of control of these nations. So for that reason, we can't really say this is real communism. They want to paint a picture of the world as from their point of view, but it's not necessarily good for anyone else. And most people would disagree with their views, but who's to stop them, right? You control the money, you control everything. It doesn't really matter if you're smart or not. Sometimes I don't even start building anything until the show's like an hour old. Oh yeah, a little thing I did offline here. I started planning our Soviet power supply, because we're going to run out of US dollars soon. And the US currency in this game, you got two currencies. You got rubles. And you can buy and sell any good with either nation. So they want 2.8. Like that's the capitalists. They're just a little greedier. So you got the US capitalists jerks, and you have the Russian Tsarist jerks. These are your two options. They all want free money for lending you their money. And we're probably a lot longer from going over the, needing to borrow money on the Soviet. We got $1 million still, but we're only down to 100,000 US dollars. So we got to worry. There is a bit of a clock. There's a fiscal clock. And just in case we do run out of U.S. money, I really don't want to pay 2.8%. I want this power grid extended around the city so we can start buying Chinese electricity. Russia here is they're building this road still. This was something we started in the last episode. It's pretty far from our urban areas over here. So we do need to increase the speed limit of this highway. So we started working on this. I don't think anyone's going to live in our cities for a while. So we're kind of relying on these immigrants. We've got Canada, Mexico, China, Russia as sources of workers in this game. And this is the furthest one out. So this is going to be an asphalt road. And it's just something for these workers to do until ultimately, we're going to build our oil refinery here in we should call this Houston or something. We should put some Texas cities. I want to put Elon Musk's house out on the map at some point. Yeah, I think we'll call this Houston. This is technically closer than Las Vegas, because it's way out here. But if we're going to have an oil refinery here, it kind of makes sense this is Houston. And there's a big lake here. So this would be like the Gulf of America, right? And so we'll make, eventually this is going to make money. But my big concern isn't the rubles in this game. It's the US dollars. And, the previous game, we ran out of money and we couldn't pay the bills and everyone died and there was no way to recover. This one, even though everyone's dead, because we have money, we can sort of recover anyway, so it's not as big a deal. You can drag them out of houses and whatnot. But I want to wait till February 22nd before. I want to wait till the winter ends. Because there's no point in bringing them over because they're just going to flee immediately because it's winter. There's a reason why people go down south, for the winter. It's not because people in northern cities have it better. It is not nicer to live in a northern city. If you think Canada and places like Detroit and Chicago and Minneapolis are such paradises, you have to wonder why people more often than not go down south, because winter is a crappy thing. It's not just one thing. It's the cumulative effect of it. Gloves, right? You could lose your gloves. You can lose your boots could get salt damage, and you got to replace them regularly. You got ice on the road, so your car might not, you might not be able to control it. Your brakes, may or may not help you. You may or may not be able to accelerate on ice. In blizzards, you can't see anything. Uh, the windows fog up due to the temperature. Your glasses will fog up. Your fingers will become numb and your toes become numb, so you can't control the vehicle. So you can't see anything nor control anything, and everyone around you is in the same scenario. So even if you do a good job of it, doesn't mean you won't just get randomly taken out. We call it white knuckle driving. Then you have things like your car. If you don't start it for 24 hours, it probably won't start. The battery will die. Then if it dies too many times, you got to buy a new battery faster. You can't feel your face on really cold days. It's painful to be outside. Breathing is difficult. Um, just walking on the sidewalk. If you hit some ice, you could go head over heels, knock yourself out. And this is just every single day, every little thing. And you want to go from one building to the next, you got to put your boots on, tie them up, go to the next place, sit down, untie them, and it's you get dressed up. You got to put your jacket on, put your mitts on. It's like a 5-10 minute process to go in and out of any building you go to. So you're basically losing and then you got to shovel snow, and you consider all the things that come with winter. You waste I'd say 30 minutes to an hour of every single day of your life, pretty much. And then you go to a place that you don't have to deal with this stuff. And we know what it's like in summer. You don't have to deal with it. Summers are nice in northern climates. I know they had a snowstorm in New Orleans, and they probably thought that was pretty crazy. But that actually, I remember watching it on like the live stream just to see people's reactions to it. And on that same day, they were like, the city was shut down. The city I was in was like 10 degrees colder, and it was just a normal day. It wasn't. But if you're not used to it and you don't have the equipment, they had a they had a snowplow. When I was watching the stream, they had a snowplow, and the snowplow in Louisiana, it was this guy who had a snowplow, and they're talking on the CB radios, and it was like the only guy who had one in Louisiana, because like who would have a snowplow in Louisiana? Like, how much work are you going to get? And apparently he goes out to finally, like, the first time of his life, plow some snow, and he ran off the road and into a ditch, and they had to haul him out. So it's like, here's this guy so enthusiastic to finally to plow some streets in Louisiana, and he goes and loses traction and crashes into a ditch. It's unfortunate, but at the same time, it was kind of funny. Just just the enthusiasm. Uh, the guy who finally had a moment to shine, and maybe afterwards, or maybe after they pulled him out, he drove a little more carefully. He must have been really enthusiastic to get his snowplow out there. Okay, well, we got to get back to our world here. Got destroyed in an early episode. People are really unhappy in Los Angeles right now. None of our buildings are ready. Our sports hall. We don't have any universities. LAPD's not ready. Skid Row is full of garbage. Hey, actually, there's a bit of room, and we can put a bit more garbage in there now. I guess it's blowing away. But the city is really unhappy. I don't think anyone actually lives in Los Angeles right now. It seems fairly barren. So what we're going to do later in this episode, the topic of this episode is people management. I want to drag people out of New York against their will and put them in Los Angeles. When we pull people out of New York, we'll put a few around here to see how long they stay for. We'll monitor some of these houses. We finally got a gravel recycling plant built. If you've watched the last episode, this has been going on for a little bit. One of the ideas of this virtual world is rather than being too resource intensive, it's to recycle garbage and resell it to the city and see if it works. Okay, that's one of the things we're doing here. So instead of having a gravel quarry, we have a gravel recycling plant. If things go awry and we do run out of money, I always will have the option of demolishing other cities and hauling the rubble into Los Angeles to make gravel. And that doesn't actually really cost much. We'll just need some trucks to do that, more or less. We're just planning things out for our supposed success at communism here. You got to manage our funds well, though. We have a construction office that's being built here. Oh yeah, and one other thing I want to do in this episode. So, in addition to the topic of people management, I want to create an open storage facility to, further solidify our construction industry zone here. This is like in Bob Ross. Remember the Joy painting when he would do like mountains and stuff? This is like the mountain here. He's sketching out the mountain in the background. He'll put some trees in front of it. Later he'll add some ice and snow to it. But that's what this is. This is your rock. This is like literally this is where the rocks go, right? The aggregate rocks. So this is what builds your city. And I want to add some an open storage facility, and I want to add a lumber mill and a sawmill. I was looking at this wood cutting post, and you see the quality of source on that? See that? 84% quality of source. I looked everywhere. I couldn't find higher than 84%. That just happens to be kind of where we want it. It will be part of our open storage facility. So we'll do that in the second half of the show once we do some other shticks. Canadian electricity. The overpriced Canadian electricity. Such a ripoff when you have to pay 2.8% interest. But it's getting done, and we kind of need it for the city as a whole, I guess. So I guess we'll just go with it. I'm not too eager, though, I think running water is not the super highest priority. We never want to run out of money. Money's the highest priority in the game. That's what this game teaches you, is that money's the most important priority. That everything else is kind of secondary. We want to make sure we're filling up our construction waste into our recycling plant, but until we have electricity, it's not going to be that vital that it stay full, because it can't process anything. At some point, we're going to have to set up some work routes here. We need to be able to get these people to work, but originally our plan was to take them from the city, which we will eventually, and then bring them into this zone here, where they would take the bus, and there was a bus loop we set up here. But since everyone's dead, look at this. See, they don't plow a major thoroughfare, but they go down this mud road. Okay, I'm going to have to set up the priorities on these things. Make these higher, and I'll make gravel road lower. See, look how slow they are. This is why winter really sucks. Everything sucks in winter. We'll send it to the construction office there. Oh, we had a gas station to blow up here too. I want to do all the house. Oh yes, we can blow this up now. Do all the housekeeping stuff early in the episode, just because if there's any kind of tutorial that happens, I want to do it in the last part. If you're still watching, and hopefully it's background noise by then. That's sort of like the goal here, is the background noise market. Take off the snapping. Sometimes when I would watch Bob Ross, it was just the fact that he knew how to paint. That was part of it. And I didn't know how to paint, so anything he did seemed super skilled. I found that interesting. It was watchable. The series went on forever. Because then we'll make this into asphalt, and this will be the temporary road. Because you need a temporary road while building the new roads. Like they can't use the road while it's under construction. So, and we just bought a higher speed bus that's going to be going here. So it will be able to go up and down at 85 kilometers an hour. So we have a worker shortage. So, if you've been following the series too, that's one thing I kind of point out is that workers are kind of the most important thing. Gauging the cost of things is usually gauged in man hours, right? You don't want to be choosing projects that use more man hours just to save other costs, because time is money, right? We're short on workers everywhere. So that's why this is the people management episode. Yeah, we're going to run out of US dollars soon. And so at some point we've got to start worrying about getting our electricity in from China here. LA's just had a rough time. And I think if they had the church, if it didn't, collapse in an earthquake in episode 5, I think there'd be some people still living here. I think they still live in San Francisco. Yeah, look at this. They don't even have a bar here. Well, not that. There are some people here. So they are much happier here, even though they're not very happy. Yeah, 32%, 53, 60. These are very high numbers. Okay, there's a 91. For some reason, they're very happy. But there's only one person in that house. So mostly empty houses, but there are people here. But, Los Angeles, there's just no one. But once we start building these things, people will I think they'll stay. And then we'll start building our own residential complexes and stuff. From what I know about most economics games, you don't want to borrow money unnecessarily. There's a few games like that. Board games are often like that too. If you have an interest component or something that simulates an interest component, it's usually the thing that is the downfall of someone. Not like Jeff Bezos, who, basically gets interest-free money to make his stuff because that's just what super rich people get. And then we pretend they're skilled or something, but really they're not. Amazon's a horrible platform. I'm just going to say I was selling stuff on it. Do not recommend. Do not. Unless you're a big enough company that you have enough staff, but if you're just a small startup, like 1 or 2 people, probably even 3 people, Amazon's probably not worth it. It's their fees are way too high for what they offer. They don't. The big scam of it is they don't promote your products. You're just there as filler, so that their products they promote, and you have to pay them to show up. It's obviously a racket, right? It's obviously a racket. That the very fact that, but once they have your goods, you're kind of at their mercy, and then they want a certain amount of money to rank higher, or you've got to spend money outside the system, which kind of defeats the purpose of being on Amazon, right? You're literally buried on Amazon. You may as well be on some other platform or have your own thing and do your own deliveries, because they charge you for shelf space, long-term storage if it stuff's there for more than a year. Not 30% of the profit, 30% of the gross. So if you have only a 30% margin, they take all your margin. You make nothing. Yeah, it's like the pro account status. Again, uh, you'll spend extra money and it doesn't promote you. You're still buried in the ranks. You're just there to give them money. That's what you're there as a vendor. And unless you're a certain size, um, like if you had like a million plus in revenue a year, yeah, because then there's this thing called Vendor Central, right? That's the legitimate portal. So if you're ever thinking of, hey, I want to start a little thing on Amazon, don't do it until they fix their policies. I'll let you know if I see an improvement. Oh, and their help, their help is the worst help. When I was 12 years old, I could have conceived a better help process, a better help system than Bezos has envisioned. If Bezos actually had anything to do with the planning of the way their help works, this guy should not be running the company. He should be nowhere near the company. It's devoid of logic. It doesn't help you. It doesn't even make the company more money. It just wastes everyone's time. He literally, from what I can tell, he literally hires the cheapest people he can. Again, this is from Amazon Canada, so maybe the US version is a little bit more better, but as a Amazon Canada vendor, it was an absolute nightmare. Like whenever I contact help, they couldn't even. It took like 15 minutes just for them to understand I wasn't an American. They thought because there is no Canadian help, okay, that you're just directed, you're funneled in, and the portal's slightly different, and the buttons work slightly different, so they don't like. And there is bugs there were many bugs in the platform, many errors. The screen would have an unexpected error regularly. But it's not just that it was just the process on how it worked, where there was no live chat. Like, you are a big enough company to afford live chat, yet you do not have live chat. How is this possible? They try to get you, they use this AI system, they try to qualify your ticket, and they must have wasted millions of dollars on this pre-qualification to submit a ticket. And it's like they can't understand that their own platform has flaws. So if you have any kind of ticket that indicates they might have done something wrong, there's no logical path for it, according to the people who planned it out. Like there's a page doesn't load, or a button doesn't work properly. And a lot of them were context specific. Like I had to work through very tediously on troubleshooting a lot of problems on their platform. Like sometimes you got to set your region to somewhere else. Like you set it to the US, and then suddenly you see new buttons on your screen. But you go back to Canada mode, the buttons aren't there. And you're like, this isn't described anywhere in the help. And I was supposed to know this somehow. And it's like a literal nightmare, dystopian nightmare, torture. They should pay me probably $250,000 for having to have dealt with wasting that much time with their platform. Just paid me to deal with them. The Bezos, send me a check for $250,000. I'll stop complaining about it. But otherwise, your platform, I literally could make a better help system for 1/10 the budget, and it would just be better in every single respect. Even it would actually make the company more money because it would be less time wasted. They also have this other thing they do, where whenever you submit a ticket, you can never get the same person you were just talking to. So the premise that you learn things and you can remember things is considered non-existent with Amazon. My guess is because he fires people so regularly that if you start a ticket on Monday, the person that you're dealing with could be fired by Friday. So you have to re-explain it at every step. And at no point does it occur to him that even if you're doing 3 times the work to do this, right? So even if you're paying someone twice as much, which you could, like, you would actually net more profit. This is a bad business decision too. It's just incredibly stupid. Like, Bezos, in my mind, is not very smart. Just not very smart. I'd say I know many people. Look at this nonsense here. What's going on? What is going on here? I know many people that I would say are just smarter than Bezos, and they're not rich at all. Like, just regular people. And it's because of Amazon. I've witnessed firsthand how incompetent, poorly designed. And I'm a software engineer. I've literally developed software systems for casinos and literally used in commercial establishments in hundreds of locations. So I know what the minimum standards are. And Amazon is this company that has thousands of workers worth all this money. And again, maybe this was the Canadian view of it, but that's no excuse, zero excuse for that. That if you have that much influence in a nation of 40 plus million people, and your website is utter trash that like a small team of individuals could do better than, then why on earth are you worth that much? And again, it has to do with private equity and hidden favors and preferred customers. That's what it has to do with. It is a terribly illogical platform. I do not recommend it. At least, maybe if you get to Vendor Central, and maybe that's how they do it. They just don't want any of the peasants. They don't want any class mobility, right? As long as you're a certain level, once you get to Vendor Central, you probably have, top tier support. Who knows, right? What the difference is? But I would definitely not recommend Amazon to anyone who plans to do less than $1 million a year in revenue. It looks like you can do it. I learned my lesson. I wasted over a year at it, and I'm even if I get no subscribers on YouTube for a year, if I don't get a single one, I am better off than setting up an Amazon store, because at least I'm not paying money to get nothing, right? At least I'm just getting nothing for nothing. It's not a net negative of my time. Okay, back to the series here. Okay, so we've hit February 22nd. We got to do a population count. So here's what we're doing here. We've lost about 800. Looks like 826. We'll see if we can do better next year. But now that the snow is melting, I want to start our people management phase. I want to start dragging people out of New York into Los Angeles. And the way you do that is you go to these houses and then you pin them. I won't do too many on here. Maybe I'll get 100 people. I want to put them near our construction factories to see if they wander into work. See if we'll get some ambient workers. It looks like a lot of our goods were getting to the actual buildings, but there's just not enough man hours. So let's just kind of look around here. Maybe we should have a bit of a system here. I'll start in the bottom left here. Grab a bunch of houses. Then you go here. So you go like this. Then you find one. They're almost all empty in LA right now. Let's go to the close ones here. See there? Now it's empty. Do the same thing here. This is people management. This is how you deal with it. You drag them out of their houses. This is what This is how we should manage our society. We're dragging Goldman Sachs out of his mansion. He's going to work in an asphalt plant now. Actually, I think that's the last names of multiple people. But we'll give them productive jobs. They can contribute to society here. Bob Ross would sometimes tell stories. He never really crapped on rich people. Just move a few people in. And I was like, this doesn't change our population. The population's for the country, right? And we're just moving them out of New York because, like, what's the point of New York? Like, what are they doing there? They're not going to be part of Soviet America anytime soon. They're too capitalist. Once we have our city kind of done, for sure in Los Angeles, there's going to be mass deportations. They will be forced to live into Los Angeles. And this could be a tutorial too. This is how you gain population for free. Otherwise, like sometimes, see here, you can invite immigrants from the third world. We're running low on money for US dollars. And then you can get Soviet bloc residents, which are very expensive, and are educated ones, which we might have to buy a few of. But these are just free. You just drag them out of a New York house and you're good to go. Yeah, I don't know about what's going on in the US. If you haven't studied what the details of how Goebbels actually created propaganda and how he tricked the German people, like they were tricked very similar to what we're seeing in the world today. It's not much different. People were good intending in Germany. They didn't know what was happening because they trusted the corporate media establishment and those that ran it, the billionaires. They trusted it, but they shouldn't have. They were very dishonest. Like even the Holocaust was happening in stages initially, where the socialists, even YouTubers, were being brought to hidden houses and disposed of, and this was off the record of what would be reported in the statistics and in the news, so no one knew about it. They were suspected. They could tell when people are missing, but they just noticed there was a lot of people missing, till they realized, oh wait, someone in statistics, if you're a good, useful person, create a comprehensive list of the number of missing people reported, per capita in an area. Like, I think in Canada it's very high. And I think it's because there's bad people out there, partly. A lot of it, too, is just the people really just go missing when they wander. It's not a civilized place in most of it. It also could detect things like what was happening in Germany, right, where people would go missing. And that's how they sort of are figuring out things. It was really just to get rid of people that wouldn't work in the billionaire factories. It was the elite families that were behind it all. The psychologists, the students of Bernays, people who learned about propaganda. Goebbels studied Bernays. And Bernays has had a lot of influence in America too. He's primarily worked for American companies. And, you think about it, though, this guy who influences the culture of America was living in Vienna with Hitler at the same time, too. So this is the group of people that runs a good part of the show. And if you don't keep an eye on them, they'll lead you into war. They'll get you to think that, oh, we should go to war with Canada. And everything you see on the news will be like that. They make up fictitious claims that you can't easily verify. And they'll motivate you. And that's how a lot of Germans were motivated, by Goebbels. He would say half-truths and sometimes outright lie. he wouldn't tell you things like, oh yeah, I have very rich people that stand to profit if you do this, right? He's a salesman, right? He's working for a company. And if you don't understand that, you'll fall in, get caught into it, right? The web of lies. And we see it happening again today. It's not like we don't have any video records of what happened in Germany. We know the history of what happened. And it didn't work out well. And it got out of hand, too. Like, eventually, we had the Holocaust, and the Jewish people that were brought there, they thought they were being deported, just like we see in the U.S., right? They create an environment, but then there was scheduling mishaps. This really happened. This isn't a new thing. It's not like history is come up with even a reasonably new plot here. It's the exact same one where they have excuses to be moving people around and detention camps. But eventually they just didn't want to spend any money in Germany, so they bought a bunch of Zyklon B, and that was one of the stopovers. The shower they stopped over for showers. That was called Auschwitz. Like, it was just a stopover point. No one on the train was even thinking about it. They just thought they were going for a shower, but people wouldn't appear on the other side. And, you know, there's people driving these trains. There's people selling the Zyklon B. Like, they're just happy to get their paycheck, right? You get your paycheck, you don't ask questions. That's how they control you. You don't know how to think. You just do what they tell you. You don't want to lose your job, right? Because they keep you scared. And if you knew how to manage your own money better, you weren't so compulsively spending on things you don't need, maybe you'd be able to avoid it. But at what point do you just go, wait a second, I gotta be accountable for my actions. I'm the one who makes these billionaires rich. Why don't I get a part of that? That's the solution here, right? Control your spending, know what's going on, and don't be a lackey. And hopefully we don't have a repeat of history. But right now there's a lot of lackeys out there. Most people are lackeys. Okay, so look at this. We got our LA pub is getting beer to people. So this is not a terrible neighborhood. I shouldn't have completely filled these houses. We'll steal more people later. I just want to see if we can get some people showing up on the bus stations here. See, we just have passengers and we have students. Passengers are workers that don't want to work. Maybe I'm background noise by now, maybe I'm not. If I'm background noise, keep the background noise going, right? Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with targeting a market. Okay, remember earlier when it was plowing this road here? Yeah, let's get rid of this road. That was dumb. We still need a road here, but not that way. Oops. Oops. Oops, oops. I don't know if any of this is going to get built. Probably none of it. Yeah, let's do that. Part of the way this city's set up is we have this big construction zone here, but if you build an open storage facility with a rail connection, you can actually transport some of those construction materials on the rail network to other parts of the city. So open storage facilities, yeah, you get these free ones. So this lets you store, like, let's just have a look at it here. This lets you store bricks, wood, boards, uranium, plastic waste, steel, aluminum. Dump City is going to be able to recycle and produce steel. So eventually we'll be able to drop some steel off in here. But we also might have a prefab panel facility here. We have a brick facility here right now. Actually, let's start with our rail first before we place that, because there's only a few places this can splice off of. So when this connects to the main line, it never has to go this way. This is a dead end. This is a terminal end here, right? This is just servicing the warehouse that's here, which has like some basic goods in it. So it only has to branch off this way. So let's get that in first. This. Okay, now we have to go like that roughly. So that's sort of where it would have to go. So let's check this out here. Okay, so I think we're going to go around here. Look at this. Look at this. Look how beautiful this is. Okay, and that has a gravel entryway. And then, so we know, I think we'll redo this track here though. Just because that was just an approximate thing. We need a chain switch right here, right? If you've watched the series, you know why it's when you use a chain switch whenever it has decisions to make. Can it go left or right? It has to be a chain switch. But if it only has one way it can go, it doesn't have to be a chain switch. So let's put those in. We have to take those out before construction of the tracks begin, because the builders will get confused. But I want to make sure we have clearance for. It's a little bit. So we're going a little bit out here. Let's just try that though. It's okay to have a little bit of extra track here. As long as we get our sawmill in there, that's all we need is a sawmill and woodcutter's post. So if we can fit these in here, we're good to go. Okay, so another thing too is if we're going to have a prefab panel factory in this quadrant here, we need gravel to get into it. And I don't know how we're going to get gravel out of here. At the same time, to pick up the gravel right now, the truck's got to go all the way over here. So I'm thinking of putting another like aggregate pit up close here near the front area. We're building an economy for all, not just a few. The U.S. needs, well, every Western society needs UBI. Otherwise, you create fake jobs and fake economy, and everyone's miserable. So if you have UBI, it kind of means, well, we have nothing important to do right now, so just, go to school, learn something, learn to code, do what you got to do. Once you know how to code, maybe we'll have a project for you. Become a YouTuber, whatever it is. Get some YouTube UBI. That's what they need is UBI. YouTube needs UBI for unpopular YouTubers. The YOU, UBI. And that's because you're making a lot of content, but no one's watching it. Because maybe you're too old or crotchety. I don't know. We'll see. I'm still learning here. I've been at this for a month. I'm watching my videos. I don't think they're too bad. I think they're above average. Like in terms of quality. Yeah, I'm not, I have no script here. I'm talking for this long, nonstop. I'm trying, maybe I'm just background noise, right? Maybe I'm subliminally influencing you to do things. And that's how I profit. I can't believe this is a real job for some people. It's ridiculous. But I do need money at some point. Like it does help to get some followers. It does help to get the occasional recommendation by some. Maybe someone will clip it and it can be promoted on a different channel. Maybe with a better understanding of how to work with the algorithm. Until then, I need UBI. Can we go through here? No. Okay, this is what we got to replace then. I want to blow this up. There it goes, just like that. A completely rash decision. What's wrong here? Okay, what's going on here? There's a problem. What's going on here? Oh no. What did I accidentally built something here. Oh, I upgraded it. Oh no. That's been going on all episode. Remember early on where it looked like something happened at night and I couldn't see? This is what happens when you do stuff at night. They should be able to drive around it though, unless it's not connected. It's not connected. Okay. So we just lost a fortune there, but oh well. It's a little bit of, that's when you play with the game unpaused, right? You take your chances. So these guys will get back to work here. Good thing we checked. So these should find a route. Should go up here, around here, and they should be able to move the oil again. Some vehicles are without fuel. There's our gas station. Did we blow up the gas station too? Oh no. Oh, the gas station. We don't have I thought we had a small gas station here. Well, we gotta put one in. And we'll add the gas station. And I think all our trucks are needs to refuel. Oh my god. Has this one got gas? At least it's got gas, right? Okay, so this one's got to bring gas to the other one. Oopsies. Okay, so that will start fixing itself shortly. Now, these seem to still be pumping oil. Oh, what happened here? Oh my god, just a random thing blew up? Oh my god. Like, the thing lasts like 1 year and it blows up. It's so ridiculous. A capitalist made this game, and they're like, we'll make it impossible just to prove capitalism is better. No one will notice that pump jacks normally don't blow up. But that's what the capitalists do, you see. Do you understand how the system works? Do you get it? Okay, let's put... And this is the part where I don't correct myself and don't say there's potentially just random bad luck. There is no random bad luck. Let's put it here. Demolition office. Oh yeah, we'll have to assign them. We'll just send it over here. We have nothing, like we can't process hazardous waste. I mean, that's very expensive to dispose. We don't even have room for a free dump because everything else is falling apart in the city. This is just such a... I wanted to show how smooth and simple and how skilled I am at this game. But I guess, I don't know. It is entertainment, right? Okay, back to the task at hand here. Okay, let's see if we can make this work. Does this work? Yes. This one work? Yes. Let's go on the grid here. So you get a road connection, right? And then we can bring coal out of here. You go through. Oh, yes, we can. Not super straight, but okay, what if the bus is doing here? What are you doing? Oh, that's right. All go at the same time. Just go through each other. That made perfect sense. I'm just getting done here. Things are getting done. So once they start moving up and down, the pace of the show is going to pick up quite a bit. I want to put a gravel pit here. It's not going to be a permanent road. Okay, maybe we should put this road back in. Okay, we'll give them this road here. Then we'll get rid of this one, because I think it's in the way right now. Can't believe our pump. It just blows up. That's ridiculous. Just ridiculous. Oh, they're starting on the brick factory? Okay, hold on. No, they shouldn't be building anything here. What's it doing? It's building some of these things, though. No. Don't want the gravel. I'm not 100% finalized on these decisions yet. You fail enough times, and then you repeat the same thing over again. Eventually you'll have success. We have built out our aggregate supply, so it can come out here and be quicker to pick up, and if we build a prefab factory, we should be able to cross the road fairly easily, I think. Yeah. So we can connect to a factory if we need to. Our construction yard will use, bricks will go into here, prefab will get delivered into here, and all we need is a little bit of lumber and a little bit of sawmill, and I think we're good to go. So let's get those built. Okay, we won't get our 87% quality. Again, I don't know if it matters that much. I wish I was better at this game, but I'm not. We'll go like this. 84. Oh, 88. Whoa. Yeah, I planned that. I'm a pro at this game. Let's go with that. So this will put lumber in there. Yeah. Okay, I want to move this over though. And then we'll connect those directly, because now the wood will get cut and made into lumber, and the rest of the wood can go into open storage. So both the outputs from this factory and this factory go into the open storage, combined with bricks. So, but I think for this to really work though, we're going to need a bus station here. Let's go there. Start on that. There. I want to go over these tracks here. Yes, right there. And like this. And like that. And let's commit this. And okay, so now we got a sawmill, a wood cutting post, and a brick factory that could all theoretically get built. Let's get this committed. Oh, I just suck at everything. Okay, let's go. Let's see if we can get a road in here. Oh, yes, we can. And if we can get a road in here, I think we can get a road across here too. Yeah. I don't suck at everything, I guess. Actually, like that, and then like that. I think that's kind of cool. Okay, so that should build everything there. Maybe there. That looks a little normaler. And we'll get our paths back in. Our brick workers are going to have to get to work this way. This will be the new way to work. Like that. And maybe like this. You just got to get some electricity, and I don't think we have electricity in this area. No, the closest electricity we have is this one here. Ooh, that means we can start making gravel. So let's do that. Let's set one of these cars. What's wrong with this thing? Wear and tear 51%. Oh no, it's this one. 100%? How did it get to 100%? This was 88% when I parked it. Let's get our route here. I think we have 2 buses that work for Mexico, so we won't have so many spare workers. Canada should have some. So we'll load some workers. Yeah, they'll go here. And we'll start that. So this car will act as a bus for now. And it will bring workers in. And that should start making us some gravel. You know, if everything goes to plan, all this district will be ready. And I might run it to 1963 even. And we'll see how well things are going in the next episode. We can then start building our services. And then hopefully that once we have like a couple of main buildings built in the city, we'll stay in the city. And there is, like in the previous playthrough, there is a certain point where they actually like living in the utopia, but we haven't quite got there yet. So a bit of a bleak start to the episode. But, with some of the things going on here, I think we'll be turning the corner soon enough. And we can always drag some workers in from other cities to get the boost we need. So hopefully things improve in the future. And I guess we'll call that an episode. So if you enjoyed it, just let me know. If you've got any suggestions for things to do in the show or ways to improve it, I'm always open-minded. Things you like and don't like about the show, any kind of feedback's appreciated. So hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you next week.